Thank you for coming tonight. This is awesome to see all of you out there in the audience. It's been 2 years since I've had a chance to spend so much time in person and to get a chance to thank you for all that you're doing. I just have a few tasks to accomplish this evening, and then we'll get on with my favorite part of the evening is honoring the Wall of Fame and Innovators. But we need to pause for a few moments and be grateful, of course, for what's happened over the last few years, and be thankful for the resiliency and the hard work that all of you have put in. It's been a tough few years for all of us. So thank you. Thanks for being who you are and continuing to make Central New York such a place. My target right there we go. Okay. We all know how important manufacturing is. It is really the backbone of the economy. With 8% of total employment, and for every one of those jobs, 3 other jobs are connected to it. It's 11% directly of the GDP. But where it really shines is in productivity growth, where a full 35% of the economy's growth is in your sector, the manufacturing tech sector. And 60% of all exports come from manufacturing, which we'd like to see grow and increase because it brings real wealth from around the world into our community, into the state and the country. And it really is the bedrock of what goes on. So what you do matters tremendously. Even more so in the troubled, challenging world we live in. Economic and national security go together. We see that with the war in Europe right now. The defense industry, the semiconductor industry, all these industries matter greatly in a time of uncertainty. We have those manufacturers and more in our community and throughout the state. We know how vital manufacturing is, so thank you for all that you're doing to make it happen here in our communities. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. You're all seeing it. You can even see it in the grocery store. Supply chain disruptions. The inability to get products, some of the most important products, such as semiconductor chips, into the country. What we saw was during the pandemic, a huge delay and a disruption in supply chain. But you'll notice it hasn't gone away. In fact, it continues to increase, especially in the U.S., because of the products we make and the long supply chains that are across the globe. We need to work on fixing that and bring more manufacturing jobs back to America and back to our community. It's especially true of here and in Europe. What can happen in growth and opportunity for manufacturing in the future is we can grow the industries that matter the most. Now, the U.S. has seen a significant growth from 1995 to 2020 in the R&D and design sectors. That's computer systems design and scientific R&D. So we saw growth there both in GDP, number of employees, and firms. But what we really need is growth again in what McKinsey calls, and this is a more recent study, in the learning curve in scale-based and standardization manufacturing. That's precision metals, semiconductors. We need to have semiconductor facilities in this country, and of course we want one right here in our communities. And we need basic metal, auto parts, fabricated metals. These are critical to have locally sourced in our own communities, not coming from Asia or coming from other places. Why? Because that disrupted supply chain is worse from Asia for North America. It's 6 times more delayed than other parts of the globe. We have very extended supply chains, and we need to bring more of that back. And I think we're at that moment where we can and will. I think we as a country now have the fortitude, and we know we have the manufacturers to do it. If we do, we could see a meaningful and significant growth in our GDP. In those sectors as outlined, the ones that we have special focus on, we could see between $275 billion to $460 billion a year and 1.5 million new jobs by doing the right thing, producing semiconductor chips that go into tanks and airplanes right here, not in Taiwan, 90 miles from China. We have the real opportunity over the next years, up through 2030, to make a real difference. And we're focused on that at MACNY. and I know you'd like to see it too. And you'll do it by continuing to be successful in the manufacturing sector. What do business leaders think throughout New York State? Well, the Empire State Manufacturing Survey done by the Fed monthly can tell you, looking forward, they're optimistic when it comes to general business conditions, new orders, and shipments. There's been a little bit of less optimism as they looked at some particularly troublesome issues such as inflation or the supply chain, but they're poised for growth, poised for investment, poised for opportunity. By the first quarter of 2021, we were back to where we were before the pandemic in terms of manufacturing jobs, 9% of the local economy. In fact, in New York State, we grew 15,000 new manufacturing jobs in 2021. Let's talk about the future. The future is bright with great opportunity. Of course, we need to help you do that, but the opportunity is there. The beauty of it is we can see the future, get the chance to see it, and you'll see it too as you go to facilities throughout central New York, because they're actually in the future and growing it right now. What are the top trends in manufacturing, which have only been accelerated since the pandemic? I won't talk about all 10, we don't have all night, but I will talk about just a few. Never been more important to invest in workforce. It has to be tech savvy and diverse. In fact, I tell manufacturers, and anybody who will listen, like at the table tonight, they're listening to me talk about it, to find truly qualified technicians, they're unicorns. They don't exist. You have to hire them, you have to train them, and you have to keep them. Our job at MACNY is to help you do all of that. That's the new future of high-tech industry. We can do it here successfully, but we have to do it with you. Cybersecurity, never been more important. I can tell you, I can't tell you the companies, but I can tell you members and others have been hacked and shut down for weeks or months. It's a real threat, and it only got worse because of the invasion into the Ukraine. The threat is much higher than it's ever been. So people need to invest in it. By the way, at MACNY, we have a plan for that, to help you do that. And reshoring, this is a good thing for us. Bringing those great jobs back to help people have middle-class careers and opportunities that can be gotten right out of high school, because companies will hire you and pay you to learn. And by the time you're done with a registered apprenticeship, $25 to $30 an hour with benefits and no debt. Learn and earn. The best thing going. And thank you to Senator Emanuel, a big champion of that. Thank you for being here tonight and championing that. New York State invested in MACNY and MyApp and manufacturers with extra resources this year to make sure we do more of it than ever. Again, there's so many things. Thank you. All of these trends have only been accelerated because of the pandemic and because of moving into the future. What are industry leaders investing in? Primarily these 6 areas. Again, I won't talk about all of them. We'd like to get on with the program. But clearly, companies are reinventing their supply chain. You cannot use the same supply chain that you used prior to the pandemic. You have to reinvent it. You have to reinvigorate. You have to find other suppliers. That's happening. They're investing in it. And not just in jobs, but true talent and culture, which we help as well with leadership training and learning and upskilling. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then, of course, enterprise protection, which includes cybersecurity, but many other things to protect, to grow your business so you don't get disrupted, so you go on. We did this during the pandemic with the help of one of our Wall of Fame winners. Created an entire consortium based on what companies' needs called Keeping People Safe and Factories Running. Nationally acknowledged and actually award-winning locally. Helped keep companies safe. And a little-known secret, the government listened to us when we told them how to best do it. Cybersecurity is our next focus. Look forward to doing that with you as well. Companies can best help each other stay secure, stay running, to be robust. The factories of today, which are the factories of the future, exist in Central New York and beyond. And MACNY, as you know, through the Manufacturers Alliance, is statewide. All of these technologies exist today, and there's just more of them coming. Wearables, cobots, automated vehicles, on and on. And that's one of the reasons why you get so much productivity increasing in manufacturing, in tech firms, because all of this technology is in the pipeline and already being developed. You can see it going on our tours. That's the reason why we want to do what we do, to help you get to the future faster, which means every single job's changing. I've been doing the same thing, believe it or not, for 21 years. My job's not the same. The tech personnel in the manufacturing facility is definitely not the same. What's happening? Accelerated change, not just linear change, but accelerated change. Why? Because computing costs, storage costs, delivery and digital costs, all the things that make change possible when it comes to technology have lowered dramatically, which means now change is accelerating. That's why you have to continue to upskill talent. You have to continue to invest in technology. We can do that really well here in Central New York. Low tech, that's not manufacturing. In New York, especially in Central New York, it's all high tech. And manufacturing is at the hub of a productive economy and a productive country. But change is coming faster than ever. The biggest challenge is finding those workers, those tech workers to be specific. And you know it because you see it. Our average member has about 10% open rate right now. So we're working hard on this. In fact, during the pandemic and after, we've added staff, new programming, and opportunities here. Why? Because 2.7 million baby boomers are retiring by 2025. By the way, you want to get their wisdom into new individuals. That's why registered apprenticeships work, because they're guiding the specific use of equipment in your facility. There's a dramatic shortage, as I've mentioned, of qualified labor. And of course, there's going to be changing skill sets. Even the ones you hire have to continue to upskill. And one of our biggest challenges is helping everybody, especially young people, understand what manufacturing is and what tech jobs really are. They are awesome jobs, as you all know. I'm really preaching to the choir here, but we need to get young people and their families to know that. So we're actually doing that in this community. We want to continue to do it throughout the state. We've engaged over 100 companies working with thousands of students so they can see your facilities, understand your job opportunities, because we need them to become your employees and for you to train them. That's a big challenge. We can overcome that together, but only together, because as you know, most young people in schools and their parents don't know about your great jobs. Why can we do it in the U.S.? Because when you factor in productivity, adjusted labor costs, we're par with the rest of the world right now, to include China. There's no reason to locate a facility in China anymore for labor costs. That's changed the last 5 to 10 years. We can be successful here. So let me be a little bit more specific about just some of the things we're doing at MACNY, because again, I get excited about it, so I'll keep it limited. First of all, our events and learning networks. Before the pandemic, in-person events, we did about 300. In 1 week, we went completely virtual. Last year, we did more events than ever, the last 2 years, actually. And now we're bringing back all of our in-person events, to include this one, obviously, our largest event. A great way to network, a great way to learn, a great way to be successful. And we're one of the best in the country at doing this. I mentioned already our workforce initiatives. Well, let me get a little bit more specific. We are the state leader and now nationally recognized for apprenticeships, registered apprenticeships. We have the contract for the semiconductor industry for the country. That's how good we are at being intermediaries for tech and manufacturing. We're teaching other industries how to do it. We have that team. In fact, the former director of our apprenticeship is now the national director. She's actually on payroll for us too. She works for us as well. But the reality is, this is our sweet spot, helping people learn and get great jobs and helping companies be successful. So if you haven't started an apprenticeship program and you want to start one, we've started with 5-people companies, and we have companies that have, in fact, maybe Ross will talk about it, start 15 apprentices. So we work with we're working with Bausch and Lomb on their program, and the smallest company you can find. We do them one-offs or at a time. We're the only place in the country that can do that, by the way. Help you design one for your specific company. And our member services are growing. We do clean energy, we do our consortium work. All of that's on our website. You can find it at MACNY.org. And we're the state's voice for manufacturing. We have alliance partners throughout the state of New York that are helping us with our MyApp and apprenticeship program, and of course, we're the go-to organization to have conversations with at the federal level. Chuck and I go back 20 years. The governor, we know we work with these individuals so that we can be successful in advocating for your needs. Just so you know, anybody in a company that's a member can use any of our services. Our biggest problem is reminding people they can use them. So please, let everybody in your organization know to get a hold of one of our 22 individuals and growing. We will help you. It's my promise. It's their promise. I have to, and I want to say thank you. Thank you to the people that make MACNY work, that make our community great. It's been a tough few years. I think we can all just be honest about it. For me personally, I wouldn't be able to do that without my wonderful wife of nearly 35 years, Denise. So thank you, sweetheart. I know not all of them could make it, but I know my board of directors is here. Could they stand and we give them a round of applause? Thank you so much. Through thick and thin, you were there. You came to those remote board meetings and those other events you needed to be at. It's through your leadership and your investment in MACNY and our staff that made it possible, so thank you. And next, of course, could the amazing, wonderful staff of MACNY please stand? Please thank them. The largest staff we've ever had, a fantastic group of people doing amazingly new things through a pandemic. They're the best. Thank you.